Just gonna go ahead and let everybody gather here.
Oh boy, here comes the swarm.
Big news. Big news. Big news, huge.
We have huge news, and then we have the standard boring stuff I have to tell you all about. But we do have huge news.
Yes.
Can you disconnect loudly? It would be really funny if you could. Punky.
Eating So the big news is I'm eating chicken Alfredo right now.
Holy shit.
Huge, but that's the big news, but not the huge news.
I have, Oh, I've got some popcorn.
All right. Okay, I gotta actually look into this. I gotta do my research here. Okay. All right. Here we go. Forgive me. This might be, you know, I'm gonna Okay. Yes. So, back in I'd say about November of 2022, I came to what was essentially the server before Delta. Back in the what people would call the Nyano days, the old server of old. And that's kind of where I got my start. I was people knew me as I metacommed with my friends. We were just playing to have fun, fucking around, doing whatever. And I was playing a janitor one round back in come around early December. And as I was playing janitor, I thought, let's have a little chaos. I smashed some lights and got a note. Sat there, read the rules for 10 minutes. Show rules for 10 minutes. Sat through each and every second. And it just continued. And it was sort of at that point where I realized, oh, this could be something. More and more I played, the more I realized this really could really be something. And eventually, things would just go smoothly in the sense of I'd establish a name for myself, get in touch with the community, really connect with everybody within that old community of Nieno. And eventually some things would occur that caused a massive split in the community, and I took it upon myself to spearhead it in the sense of I rose up to the occasion to assist the community as a at large, assist the community at large, and got the split as rectified as I could, and I made Delta V essentially with the help of a lot of people that have come, people that have gone, people that have a lot of people. It, I always thought for a while it was the staff that helped the server. No, it was really just the community. And more and more I ran Delta, it's more and more I realized the community is the heart of any server in any game. It could be World of Warcraft with a guild, it could be so much more. And when it comes down to it, I've reached a point where I want y'all to understand you haven't seen me around all too often for reasons I won't get into, but recent decisions I have decided to make for the betterment of myself, for the betterment of this server. I am officially retiring from my position as owner, and I will be passing the keys onto Lindo. It was a tough decision to make, but it was a decision that I somewhat made back in June or July. I can't remember which month. But I reached a point of turmoil in my life where I realized there's so much that I'm going through to where whenever I looked in here, I felt like I neglected this server. And it hurt because I didn't want to leave y'all behind. And then I realized just further and further on, things became difficult. And I realized that I should probably I should step down then, but then we had some solutions come across, and since then you guys have seen the project managers, the rise of those guys coming to help out in my time of need at this point was almost, if not the equivalent of myself rising up to the occasion to create Delta V with the help of so many others. It was uh these guys, these project managers rising to the occasion to create a better place for staff and community alike. Now, I'm not going anywhere. I will make this perfectly clear. I'm not leaving the server completely behind. I am just leaving the staff side of things for my own health, essentially. And an attempt to rekindle, maybe, but when it comes to owning the server, I feel like as qualified as I was in the past, times have changed and change should be accepted. No matter it seems hard, it seems scary, no matter what you'll do, change is always inevitable. Whether it be a mechanic in the game, a major life-changing event, picking up an entire server from a lot of shit and just getting everything back in order. Change is always terrifying. Always, always. But that doesn't mean that you have to be afraid of it. And even if you are, do it afraid. However that saying goes. But yeah, keep things short and simple from the rambling and all that. Uh you are about to witness, I think this is how I do it. I am now oh shit, how do I do this on oh, it's probably the server settings. Forgive me. Did you know for some reason on mobile, in user management, they put ban user uh right above create owner or like pass ownership. Server settings, member list, click the person transfer. Got it. Oh, actually, first of all, you're gonna witness right now as I take off those two rolls, give myself this little vanity roll. It's that WoW guy. For some reason, I'm stuck as a server booster. Can't remove that. Oh well. Please tell me I have the funny icon. Oh shit! I'm in my guild Discord. Whoop. I wasn't fully prepared. uh, that's not the icon I want. I have to move it above, I think. Shit, this is very uncoordinated. I expected this to be a lot smoother, you know. Okay, there we go. Look at that. Make your role pingable? No, you're not. I don't want to be pinged. Look, it's that WoW guy. And of course, server settings, members, Lindo. And now I enter the 2FA. Because it's wise to have 2FA. If you don't have 2FA on your Discord account, this is your reminder to do so.
Danger says, fuck 2FA. Real enjoy having your account stolen, idiot child.
And just like that, Lindo now owns the Discord. I forgot to give myself permissions to see the. Oh, damn it. Lindo owns the Discord, and I'm going to be able to change my status for the first time in over a year. And I'm still proud of what this community has done for me. There is nothing that will make me any less proud of what everybody here is capable of. So just keep on going. And as for the Patreon, I'm going to be shutting that down, and we're going to get that all figured out. But as this is, oh yeah, this is going to be public knowledge now. So last year I made a little whoopsie, made a little uh-oh, and since then I've rectified, but I am in debt to the server. Yep, we talk about the Patreon internally about that getting set up, but my ass screwed up and was pulling the auto withdrawal, whatever. I had that going, and whoops, I didn't want that. It was going into my PayPal, and I was getting food for myself to live. So I'm in debt $600. I'm gonna be helping with the server payments for the first 6 months, or for 3 months, 200 a month. And what that will do ideally, is give Delta V a pool of money along with whatever they do for the Patreon, which they will discuss tomorrow. But yeah, uh, so Patreon's gonna be shut down. All the money just paid for the server. I made sure to pay for it. We're good. It's served. We're all good. I forgot to tell Null that I paid for it, but they did check their PayPal and see that there was money in there, so we're good. So yeah, uh, that's the huge news. I'm retiring, stepping down, and sticking around. And from there, I shall. I expected to cry. I'm gonna be real. I think I have a general hold of my ability. But yeah, you guys mean a lot. You guys will always mean a lot to me, regardless of my position. And thus, I pass the meeting on to the actual staff.
Well, with that completed, um,
I will stay for question.
yes. Right. Okay. Staff time. Do I have the ability to manage the stage? No,
You should.
I
You
don't.
know,
Wait, or do I? Do I?
you should.
Yes, I
Lindo,
do.
PM had admin permissions. Oh, that in game. Never mind. Oh.
Okay. Right. Well, it's uh time to talk about the usual stuff we talk about at these server meetings. I'm afraid nothing here will be as impactful as the big news, but it is news nonetheless. We begin with everyone's favorite ghost role antagonist, the Revenant. Who here likes the Revenant? Who here doesn't like the Revenant? The Revenant's been a pretty big topic of contention both within and without, both in and out of the administration channels. So we decided to do a couple changes. Nothing with the Revenant itself. We have ideas of how we would like to change the Revenant itself, but that's down the line. As for now, as for right this second, Revenants are allowed to do mass spacing. Revenants are allowed to open the door to the burn chamber. Revenants are allowed to smash the windows of the gas miner. But, in exchange, if you are John Atmos Tech, John Chemist, John whoever, and you hear there's a Revenant on station, you are allowed to take whatever precautions you like to defend yourself against the Revenant, as it's assumed that you, as a member of crew in the Delta Quadrant, will know what a Revenant is. It's assumed that Nanotrace included it in your information pamphlet.
Oh
So
shit.
if you, so yeah, if you're working in Atmos and you hear, oh my god, Revenant in wherever, go ahead and start reinforcing the tag. Go start swapping out windows for windows for walls. Go reinforce. 2 minutes ago we said we didn't know anything about revs. Well, it's changed because people discovered the meta strat of Revenant is emag half the station, open burn chamber. Everyone dies. The emergency shuttle has been called. Um, but yeah, Revenants can continue to do what they do. Revenants are rarer now. They spawn significantly rarer without a glimmer event, so it's now a it's now more of a it's the station's fault, or more specifically Epistemics' fault, because the higher the glimmer, the higher the chance of having a Revenant now. Um, so yeah, um, more fuel, more buses to throw scientists under. Um, Right. But yeah, that's the Revenant. So yeah, Revenant goes. Yeah. So basically, Revenant does a thing. But you can take necessary precaution to defend yourself against Revenants, including again like reinforcing or welding stuff. Um. Next up, Borgs. Who likes Borgs? Who likes playing as Borgs? Who likes interacting with Borgs? Whatever. I wore out the joke with the I wore out that joke with the Revenant. I like Borgs. I love playing. I love playing Janitor Borg. Really. Um, but we have made some changes to Borgs recently. Not only do we believe that no, well, I believe it's now codified within the rules that Borgs have the same rights as any other crew member. So you can't gib a Borg for refusing to state its laws for the umpteenth time. Because that's murder. Um, or at the very least, assault. Um, yes, Borgs have rights. You can't just bully the Borg for being a Borg. Borgs also have common sense. Borgs should realize that the rotting green crew member biting crew is probably harmful, and you can beat him with a crowbar. Same with the man in the funny red spacesuit gutting down half of medical. You can whack him with a crowbar too. Crew little ID badge icon or not, the Borgs are allowed to use common sense when dealing with. Now, with this definition of crew being defined as someone who works on the station, are Borgs now allowed to defy laws? No, but Borgs are allowed to use common sense. Um, so it's the idea of, well, if I don't stop this nuclear operative, more crew harm will occur. If I don't stop this syndicate agent who is gunning down half of medical, there will be more crew harm, etc., etc. Um, maybe later. Now, does this mean that passengers now with the definition of a crew member being someone who works on the station, by current definition, passengers aren't crew, technically. But this doesn't mean a Borg can just beat a passenger to death. You still got to follow escalation guidelines. The server rules take priority over your Borg laws, unless an admin says otherwise. Like if you get a funny Borg law and you ask an admin, "Hey, I got a funny ion law. Can I do X?" and the admin says yes, then that's fine. But don't go beating up passengers just because they aren't technically crew. Um, is a Cindy still able to ask Borgs to open their back panels? I mean, if the Borg has the law to say it has to obey crew orders, yeah, but yeah, that's yeah. Borgs have common sense in their law interpretation, common sense as to who's crew and not. Um, but yeah, that's Borgs are Borgs have rights. Do not bully. Um, next up, we've been doing quite a few polls um in the announcements channel, which it's cool. Polls are cool. We're doing a bit more community outreach, getting voice, getting more of the community's opinion on upcoming changes or changes that are happening. We're probably going to make a dedicated polls channel alongside a role to be pinged when a poll is up. You don't have to have that role to, you know, participate in the poll, but it means that we're no longer going to be pinging at everyone. Hey, do you like this change? No, it'll be a specific role, so nobody gets annoyed by an at everyone ping. But that's something relatively small. We'll probably be making that in a few days, probably. Um, here we go. Here's a fun one. The head of personnel is a job title that doesn't really fit the current role of the head of personnel. Because the head of personnel no longer deals with interdepartmental ID cards, handing out roles to other departments. Head of personnel is the head of the service department. As such, we discuss this as a part of the admin meeting. We're probably going to be changing the name, fielding a few ideas for now, and we'll bring the best ones forward to you, the community, for you to vote on. But it'll be something along the lines of, say, service director, service supervisor, something along those lines. Something to specifically identify the HOP as somebody who leads the service department, as opposed to just being being HR, basically. It should help with the confusion around the HOP's role, especially with, say, new players who come in and expect the hop to be like the upstream hop with their soft role access. Um, yeah, we can't use service supervisor. Good point. So yeah, service director is the name that a lot of people liked anyway. Or at least a lot of the staff. I stole that from cruise director. Um, but yeah, yeah. So not much is changing mechanically with the hop, if anything. But we're just gonna change his name because the role is different here on Delta. Um, uh, upstream. Okay, I said soft AA. Same AA is the same access as the Borg. I believe upstream the hop gets everything except the head of staff offices and the armory. Um, but yeah, that's that. So yeah, head of personnel's name changing to be service oriented because that's what they are. Should hopefully encourage hop players to check in on service more as opposed to sitting in the office. I know how cute Ian is, and you want to look at him all around, but got a kitchen to manage. I believe that is that. Lindo, did I miss anything? I don't think I missed anything. Oh yeah, roleplay standards. That's a big one. Um, I miss submarine. Submarine is derotated and being worked on. Simple as. Okay, roleplay standards. There was an incident. Yeah, last night involving a certain clown in a certain burn chamber, where it seems, from what I saw, that half the crew went into atmospherics to participate in both the watching and the burning of the clown. Now, while the clown did request that method of execution, the crew response into essentially participating in the execution, mostly unprompted, sort of sparked a lot of discussion within the admin channels about the standard of roleplay. I know it's funny, I know it's the clown being tossed into a burn chamber, but that it was a bit LRP for the server. I know we're not the epitome of MRP plus, but it was a bit much. It was a bit too far for the standards that we like on this server. So there is going to be discussion with with the staffing team, um, about what we can do to help improve the roleplay standard because it's not just that one incident. There've been a few incidents over the past couple of months, about where it seems that people's desires or wants or needs or whatever OOC bleed into IC, and it leads to LRP examples, LRP situations. I'm rambling a little. So yeah, nothing's changing immediately, but there will be methods taken in the near future to stop this kind of thing happening again. Um, Delta V LRP server coming? No. Anyway, that's everything. That's everything on the list that Lindemann wrote for me. I'm not afraid to admit I use Lindemann like a secretary sometimes.
Yep.
So I will. I know
Now
Lindemann
you
is.
are Lindo's secretary.
No, I will continue to use Lindemann as a secretary.
Fuck up.
Hey, Lindemann doesn't complain about it. Anyway, Q&A time.
Um,
Wow, that's a flurry of hands. Zuri, Zuri,
I think it
Zuri.
shows in order of
Yep,
hand raised.
Zuri, you're first. You're up.
I have to ask about Borgs. I don't have a choice. I need it specified
Go
because
ahead.
you need to specify the division between common sense and Borg logs. Because again, from my perspective, if a non-mechanist or someone who isn't very high up tells me, "Oh, open up your control panel. You have to follow my orders," my immediate question, I'm like, why?
Well, I mean, as a Borg, you could go. Well, you could say to them, "Sorry, I can't do that. You're not authorized to work on Borgs, and me opening my panel could lead you to harming yourself."
Okay, so as long as I phrase it in a way that's appropriate to the situation, I can technically deny things that just sound pretty out of the scope of what a crew would reasonably do, like Gray Tider telling me to open a bridge.
Yep, because then yeah, so you can say, you can say, "Sorry, John Tider, you're not authorized to be in there, and because you're not authorized, you could hurt yourself. That's harm."
Okay. So I can construe the idea that I know that if they get caught in somewhere they shouldn't be, that means that they could hurt themselves.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, you can, but as a Borg, you can always go. You can always go. You can always go. Yes, sir. Least obvious syndicate agent. I will happily open my panel for you because that's up to you, the Borg player. But you
Okay,
don't
thank you.
you don't have to if you don't want to, as long as you can link it to a higher law.
Yeah, something that makes more sense. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Next up, Gates Brightforge. Greetings.
Okay, so I do have a couple of things. My first
Uh,
question is also
Gate Gates, we can't quite hear
um,
you.
can't hold on 1 second. Hello?
Hello. That's better.
Hello?
Yeah, there we
Okay.
go.
So
We can hear you now.
one is emagged Borgs. Once we pulled the brain out of their chassis, we had a big incident with this a couple days ago where someone emagged 8 Borgs and none of the brains, once we pulled them out, wanted to say who emagged them. And the question really is, a couple of them played it like they all played it different ways. A couple of them did like their role play as, oh, the emag memory wipes us whenever we're pulled out of the chassis, and a couple of the other ones said, "Oh, Borgs aren't crew aligned whenever they're pulled out of their chassis, so I don't have to tell you anything." What is the staff verdict on that?
A positronic brain, when removed from its chassis, is lawless. The laws apply to the chassis, not the brain. So if the brain can choose to blab on who emagged them, the brain can choose to have memory loss, the brain can choose to keep silent, because once if it's a positronic brain or an MMI, they are lawless. They have no laws.
Okay.
But then solution, you stuff them into a non-emag chassis and go, okay, who emagged you earlier?
And
Because
and and
then they'll have to answer via law too.
okay. So even if you do that, because we did that in that round specifically, and one of them was like, "Oh, my memories are still corrupted,"
Which,
and
yeah, that can be said. It's a reasonable role play, like Sif just said. It's yeah, it's you can once you've left the Borg chassis, you can do any one of those three options basically, or some secret fourth option if you figure out what that is. 'Cause
okay.
I don't know what it is.
And then my one other question is involving the nuke disk.
Yep.
So there's been quite a few incidents recently during nuke rounds where the captain has taken the nuke disk into FDL or onto the shuttle, and they have gotten lots of flack from staff in regard to doing that. However, I have seen and gotten. I'll talk about it in a second. But whenever syndicates, like syndicate agents, take the nuke disk and they steal the cargo shuttle, and they just spam FTL to avoid getting captured, would those same rules not apply to that? And the reason I'm asking this is because that happened to me in a round, and I helped it because in the rules it explicitly says don't hide the nuke disk in an unobtainable location, and it doesn't specify that only the crew can do that. And I helped it and was told that syndicates are allowed to do that. So I'm asking for a little more clear part of the rules for that.
I believe it's probably in the best interest of both from an IC and OOC perspective to keep the nuke disk on station, or if you are EVAing to escape the nukies, then slightly off station. But you shouldn't be having the nuke disk, getting on the cargo shuttle, going to the ATS, or just FTLing back and forth, because that's lame behavior, and nobody likes to see that. It's
Okay.
also kind of round extending, which um but yeah, captains and crew shouldn't be hiding the nuke disk, like, playing with the nuke disk like that. On a similar point, if the crew captures the nuke, don't take it to the ATS, and don't hide it on the cargo shuttle and FTL it back and forth, because that's also lame,
Yeah.
and it's against the rules. You shouldn't be. I know it says impossible to see location, but if you take the nuke to the ATS, the nukies can, even if the nukies have emagged it to say make their pinpointer to follow it, they can't find it.
Right.
You can. There is one place you are allowed to take the nuke outpost,
Yeah.
because major crew victory. But yeah, so don't hide the nuke disk. Don't hide the nuke. Don't play with them over. Don't play with it in FTL space. Keep it on or immediately next to the station.
Okay. And that applies to crew and antags, right?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. All right. Thanks.
Oh, I mean, there's there is, minor exceptions, like the nukies can obviously take the nuke disk and the nuke to CENTCOM, because that's a major syndicate victory.
That would be kind of funny.
It's happened twice. I've seen it.
Does it actually like? I thought you had to be in the middle and like closer to the middle of the station to arm it.
You got to be 5 tiles from space. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
You just got to be a few tiles from space. But yeah, there we are. You can arm the nuke on pretty much all the evac shuttles. Yeah, that's that.
Wow. Yep. That's all I had.
Awesome. Next up, Nosford. Hello, Nosford. Hello?
Sorry,
Oh.
my Bluetooth was on. I was just leaving my car after work.
What do you drive?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right.
Hey.
So my question is, are command or security players like allowed to order Borgs not to listen to a certain crewmate's orders?
They can order the Borg to do that. If it's up to the Borg's interpretation of its laws if it has to follow it or not.
All right. So that means that the Borg won't have to listen to any orders from the crew member?
If the Borg so chooses, the Borg can say, well, command. I was like, well, security have ordered me not to listen to you, which leads me to believe that you're going to order me to do something that would violate my first law. So,
All right.
or a Borg can go, security told me not to listen to you, but it's not exactly violating law 1. What do you need? It's
All
again,
right. Thank you.
it's up to the Borg's interpretation of its laws.
That's all. Thank you very much.
Next up we have Blackout.
Yo, so
Hello.
when can we like get kebabs in the game?
If you wish to contribute, you can create kebabs or find someone who can create kebabs for you. I assume you're talking about doner kebab.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, doner
The,
kebab.
on the pole.
Yeah. I mean, we have rat kebabs.
Yeah, but that's more shish kebab. I'm like kebab.
Doner kebab, naan bread, all that.
Hell yeah.
Hey, if you want to contribute, making a food item is a good place to start.
Say less. Yeah, that's everything. Peace.
Fantastic. Next up, it's alarmed. Alarmed if this is about the snail. Okay. Yep. Okay. Alarmed. To answer the question that I knew you're gonna ask, snail morphotype. Like I said, if you wish to contribute, making a snail morphotype would be a way to contribute. You can either do it yourself or find a team or someone else to help make it with you or for you. I would say when you code it, but that sounds mean. Next up, Moko? Moko? It's, however it's pronounced. Hello? You don't look to be muted, unless we just can't hear you.
Oh, I forgot that I had push to talk in this one. Ha! Silly me. Hello, everybody. So,
Hello.
I wanted to ask what's around the LRP enforcement and the idea of better standards of roleplay. You mentioned the incident yesterday about a clone was executed via thrown into the burn chamber, and the
Yep.
crew wanted to join in to watch. You say that it is pretty shitty behavior from the crew, and I would agree, it is kind of LRP, but on the other hand, admins weren't exempt from this either, and I don't think it's a behavior that just came from night to morning. Like, for instance, yesterday I got to witness a few admins, and one of them was writing on the floor uwu with cheese bars, and a few of them filled with carpototsin, and one of them with even romerol, round removing a few people. I would agree things like that also kind of breed this LRP behavior from people, so are there any steps being taken towards improving also, or rather keeping admins up to the standard of roleplay rule?
Yes, actually, this was discussed with some length as part of the administration discussion, where not only is things to do with events being reported more, like this is the first I'm hearing of the example you mentioned. If something like that does happen, at me, at a project manager, at Lindo, at whoever, because admins aren't supposed to touch Roma roll without permission. But yeah, no, we events ad memes were why is Rome roll the concern here? Because it's in the a leak from a admin document leak. Admins aren't supposed to do non-natural zombies. So, but yeah, there will be. We're going to be coming down a little on the ad memes. So
Yeah, just to be clear, I'm not necessarily against the little RP. It is a silly spec game, in my opinion, but I just think that if we're gonna be like that on the players, we also need to be consistent. It's either both ways or nobody has it. That's it.
yes, yeah, we'll be enforcing more MRP events, more stuff to help cultivate an MRP environment, promote more interaction, etc.
Alrighty, that's it for me. Thank you.
Fantastic. There we go. Lynn posting a piece of the event policy. Next up, we have Zwei. Zwe.
Hi there.
Hello.
Yes, I have two brief questions as the captain in that previous round. Is there anything that you can specify at this time about the changes to the roleplay standard?
It's something that's going to need to be discussed further with administration at this point. All we know is that the discussions will happen. It needs to be
All right.
talked more. It needs to be talked more within the staff channels.
All right. And my other question is a little bit longer. I talked about this in server grievances about almost a week ago now, wherein valuable members of command and in high stress slash priority positions, often going SSD without warning people. And I was wondering about any updates to specified cryo times in the rules or any implementation of a cryo timer on them to give a general rule of thumb as to when we should put a crew member into stasis and free up a slot.
So with if it's like a chef or a bartender, you should probably just leave them alone. But if it's somebody in an important role, such as warden or a command position, wait a reasonable amount of time. Give them, a few double-digit minutes to come back, 20, 30, whatever. And if they still haven't returned, then you can go ahead and cryo them, because that's an important position being taken up for a length of time that one might say is a bit unreasonable. So give them a bit of time to return, but if they don't, cryo them, free up the slot.
Is there any way we could implement like a rule of thumb? Because in that same round earlier, I had to put two command members in stasis that did not communicate to us or the team that they were going anywhere, and I still got confusion from crew saying, well, what if they come back? I waited about 25 minutes on each crew member before I cryoed them.
Yeah, generally waiting 25, 30 minutes that's perfectly reasonable amount of time to wait. If you are playing command, you should reasonably expect to be playing that whole round. If you do need to be SSD for an extended period of time, it is probably best to cryo, otherwise face the wrath of an angry captain who has been without a logistics officer for 30 minutes. But yeah, wait 25, 30 minutes. If the command member hasn't come back and you need that command member, toss him in the cryo bed.
All right, that'll be all. Thank you.
Gates Bright Forge has incurred the wrath of Zeus, it seems. Next up, we have Fox Stella.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Sorry, my nerves. I had just two things to talk about. One was a quick question.
Yep.
Nuki's arming on the Nuki shuttle, something I tested that they can do. What was the rule legality on that? Like, what's the staff opinion on Nuki's doing that and just like ramming it into the station at the last second?
That is that is a pretty dramatic and cinematic way to detonate the nuclear device immediately next to the station. If the hey, look, if the Nukis say if the Nukis have stormed the station, gotten the disc, and
Mm.
if they can get back to their shuttle, if salvage haven't hotwired it like a then go ahead. If you've probably earned the right to go out in the blaze of glory like that.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Now, as Nukis, you should be aiming to try and get back to base alive,
That makes
because
sense.
I mean it's even in the funny all operative standby beginning mission is as a deliver the payload and get out before the payload detonates. But if you want to go out in that blaze of glory, the Marauders will probably sing songs about that day.
And my other topic was on operozidone. I don't know if that's how you say it, but currently it requires cognizine. And I thought this was an interesting topic to think about because cloning is currently not base kit. And so cognizine is a relatively hard, difficult chemical to get. And operozidone is the one that cures rotting. So you can almost like completely replace cloning with operozidone. And I think aloxidone, which heals burn damage, which corpses can take a lot of. Um, I was wondering if there's any room for thought to like maybe replace cognizine with a different difficult to obtain chemical, but like easy to mass produce, so to speak.
If
Slightly
botany
easier.
if botany is on their A game, if botany's getting a bit ahead of the curve, um, then they can mass produce carpotoxin, which can be used to mass produce cognizine.
Yeah, that's right. There's that one plant, I forget what it's called.
Koi
But
bean.
yeah, the koi bean, it can be turned into carpotoxin.
I don't know how easy it is to mutate a plant. I have about 4 hours in botany, and all I did was grow stuff with the chef. But I have seen I've seen rounds where cognizine has been mass produced, and then I've seen just round gulfs where no cognizine is made. It's luck of the draw between rounds, and I think it's kind of fun. I think it's kind of fun if it stays that way. Some rounds you'll get a load. Some rounds you'll get a load of one med, like a load of omnazine or whatever. Some rounds you just won't.
Okay,
Improvise.
I like that perspective. Thank you. I think that's all I had to ask. You guys have a great
Cool.
day.
You too. Next up we have Duty the Fruity. Great name.
Okay, there we go. So I just wanted to ask, so now, what was it again? Like, so zombies and Nukis, they're not crew, like, because Borgs have like common sense, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I wanted to ask a question. So if I, as a Borg, like stumble upon like just like a random guy. He's not like clothed in like any Nuki armor or whatever. He just has like an energy sword. And he's slashing and dicing like the hop, like right in front of me. Can I like whack him with a crowbar to stop them or whatever? That just sorry, I'm a bit nervous.
That would be hard because at that point you would reasonably assume that they are still crew and you have options such as yelling for security or dragging the head of personnel's body away or even dragging the guy with the sword away if you're
Okay,
feeling
okay.
really brave.
So if the Nukis disguise themselves, like they wear like crew clothing, are they crew in like the eyes of a Borg?
Up until the point where Borgs can access the crew manifest, which is a planned feature upstream, I believe.
Okay,
It would be reasonable to assume that whilst this group of 5 strangely clothed men are acting a little odd, they're probably members of the crew.
got it, got it. So that means like if a crew member also like gets like Nuki armor, then the Borg can assume they're a Nuki. Is that right?
Well, unless the Borg has seen them, like say earlier, and the Borg has gone, huh? That's the
But like they're
that's
like fully clothed. They like also have like the helmet on.
then that I feel like that would be something you'd have to come by on a case by case. That's
Okay, got
real
it. Thank you.
specific. Um, yeah,
That's all I gotta ask.
okay. Next up, we have Comet Void. Hello, Comet Void.
I was in the middle of eating a grilled cheese.
For real.
When it comes to space law and SOP and its clarity, are there any plans to make it a bit clearer?
In what
Because right now
sense?
it's a bit of a textual and a bit long-winded, and there's a few things I think that get repeated a few times throughout them all.
I'm going to defer you slightly to Lynn because Lynn headed or mostly headed the space law SOP rewrite. Um, Lynn is in the chat. You can at Lynn. You can DM Lynn. Lynn's your space law and SOP person.
That's it. Second question regarding space law SOP: are there any plans to fully add it into the guidebook? Because right now, I believe a lot of the reason why people just don't read it is because it's not actually in the game.
Yes, we do have plans for that as soon as we get someone to implement it. But it is planned.
Oh, okay? I'm seeing dangers to make the guidebook is a lot of effort. Apparently, that sucks.
Yep, it's on our big bad list, but it's definitely on the list.
Okay. Another question regarding Borgs and crew.
Mm-hmm.
If the captain tells me this person isn't crew, am I inclined to believe that? Like, can the captain just fire people and make them not crew?
Again, that would be up to the case-by-case basis and the interpretation of the Borg, but if they have been fired, then they are at the same level as passenger, generally, so they are no longer crew. They're a passenger now.
I caught the and passengers. Oh, I caught the tail end of that when I first joined. Okay, that's all my questions.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Sol. Hello, Sol.
Hello. I wasn't here for the last meeting, so I don't know what was necessarily discussed. I may be trying over similar ground, but the sense I'm getting is so long as you're not going against like established server rules, there's a bit of leniency on like how Borgs and players in general can kind of role play how a situation may be, whether it be Emags wipe Borg's memory, or playing as a Borg has really good foresight to be like, this would cause future crew harm or just be incredibly inept in that, or just have really poor foresight to see something like that. There's a bit more leniency on that, is what I'm generally getting.
Yes. So in general, server rules above
Yes,
Silicon laws, but
assuming
lo-
that's not against server rules.
as long as you can argue, no matter how convoluted it may be, as long as you can argue that you are following your laws in the order and how they, the order they are and how they're written, you are free to interpret the laws as you see fit, so long as you're still following them in some semblance.
Okay, and then the other thing is for zombies, since now I think this may be a bit more prevalent since Borgs are now allowed to attack zombies. Do zombies have, like, I know zombies can't like chew through random walls and floors and stuff. They're not brains. There is an argument that Borgs may have brains. It's
Some Borgs do have brains in them if they're an MMI, and
so with a zombie, would you say that a zombie may eat Borgs to get at their brains?
I would say, yeah. It moves like it's a living thing. It makes noises and talks like it's a living thing. And if it has an MMI, it might have a brain inside. Then sure. I would say don't give the Borgs as a zombie. You can knock them into crit, and at that point you'd realize, oh crap, this thing's made of metal, and then move on.
Yeah. So, and I guess more generally, what level of is there a level of intelligence that you should go for in terms of like clearly seeing danger and being like, I'm not going to continue to bite through? On the spectrum of there's a Borg attacking me and going nom 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 to like I'm going to bite this electrified grill 5 times because there's a person on the other side.
Zombies are completely mindless. If someone stood on the other side of an electrified grill, oh, they're just gonna they're not gonna realize that the grill's electrified. They'll just keep hitting the grill and go, huh?
Okay.
Okay, that guy's still on the other side of the grill. Gotta go for the grill again. If there's a hole in the grill or a way around the grill, by all means go ahead.
Yeah.
But you should you can freely.
The goal should be play stupid.
Pretty much.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Next we have. Oh, it's Nosford again.
Okay.
Nosford,
So-
real quick. You never answered my earlier question. What do you drive?
Oh, I drive a Jeep.
Neat. Okay. Well, now what's your question?
So similar question to the zombies and the Borgs. However, it's instead an event that doesn't occur naturally on our server. What do Borgs do during revolutionaries?
During Revolutionaries, I was in the situation as a Borg during Revolutionaries when we still had them. All I did was drag away the corpses. You should generally not intervene. You can probably stand at the sideline and go, "No, stop causing harm to each other," or something along those lines. But they're probably
So essentially, it's a hey, please stop hitting each other. I do not like this.
like Null says, we can come back to how Borg treat revolutionaries if/when we re-enable/rework the revolutionaries.
I figured I'd bring it up because I remember not too long ago there was a revolutionary admin event when nukies were broken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yep. Sorry. Carry on.
no, you can continue. I forgot what I was gonna ask.
Yeah. No. Just reiterating that. Right now, probably take a policy of non-interventionism and just drag away the bodies, or otherwise find ways to intervene without harm. Once again, if we ever re-enable the revolutionary game mode, we can discuss that a little more at the time.
All right. And I remember, if command leave within like the first 15 minutes of a round and don't come back, is that a helpable?
Yes.
Because I've had shifts where, like, for example, the logistics officer just straight up leaves, and then logistics is left without an officer for the rest of the shift.
Yeah. You can help that.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, and now we have Brianna. Hello.
Hello. I have a little list here, actually.
Ooh, a list.
Yeah. Fuck, I lost it. Fucking crap. There we go. Just trying to make it bigger. So, my stuff is a little more like I'm brand new to Space Station 14. I did not. But I've just been noticing some little. These are mostly just tiny, small things that I have noticed while playing. It's like some things. It's like if someone trips you while you're wearing eyeglasses, they should break. It's just like little things to. So these things should have more of an impact on the gameplay, other than just basically if you pick like you're short-sighted, basically it just means you can't wear the fucking medical HUD now, and it just is annoying.
We do have the prescription medical HUD as an item.
When I code it, okay. Well, you want to know what my last question was? How to contribute?
So you can contribute. So we have the contributor channels. In there is contributor help. Generally, you can ask, say, "Hey guys, I want to start working on this item," and we have our contributors and maintainers who will give you advice. Noel's got a link from the how do I code from the upstream development wiki. There are there's you can look in the contribution channels to see what other people are doing. You can ask there. The game is open source. If you you can go fix go. We have amazing. We have designated danger. You know this. Yes, we have people. We have people who will help. You can make a small contribution. You can make a huge contribution. You can do it in C#, do it in YAML. There are many ways to contribute. Contribution help and the link that Noel provided are good places to start.
Okay, I have two questions here though that are kind of related, but they're sort of not. Well, first one is why don't you have the dwarf available? It's because you could just like do like a simple stat change and then it would just be basically a human side grade instead of just being a slight upgrade.
Because we have other unique species that help differentiate us as a server, such as the Felonid, the Vulp, the Harpy, etc. Although, I mean, Vulps and Felonids and Harpies are also used elsewhere, but it's to help make us a bit more different.
Do you are there like plans to add more races?
I believe Aira is working on Kitsune as a race.
Because I was thinking like more fantasy races, basically, like the dwarf, not necessarily a dwarf, but there's like I've noticed a handful of people, not like a handful of people, me, and I've heard like two other examples of people playing Onis as if they were an orc, and things like that.
Which, hey, that's cool. That's I mean, people play Vulps who are traditionally a bit more canine, but people have role played them as other creatures. I know there's a couple Vulps, skunk Vulps for an example. So there's room to create, I suppose, sub-morphotypes in the morphotypes we have. You can play a Felonid as a rodent. I know there's a player who does that. The name escapes me at the moment, but yeah, it's another good point of contribution. If you can talk to people who have made species in the past or are working on them. Again, I think Aira is still working on Kitsune. I don't remember, but there are no plans to add more species. But if somebody comes forward with and makes a species, we'll sure take a look at it.
Well, it's also, I feel like stuff like this benefits from having more of a roadmap anyway. You can say this is going to be, we're trying to be working on this here. We're going to be working on this in 2 months from now, and it's like, because I've kind of feel like there's definitely work being done on Space Station 14 and Delta V, but it's kind of just like you're adding little bits on top, but you're trying to reach the moon when really you should be trying to be a lot more organized.
Well, like Noel said, contributors work on what they want when they want. It's an open source game. Nobody is paid to be here. It's it's a volunteer project. Sometimes a lot of people don't have the time to do these big, huge, overarching features without having their server be focused and niche. I know there are other servers such as RMC who do have a roadmap, but they're a server
I've
that's a lot more
never played
focused.
any other servers. I wouldn't know.
RMC, it's Marines versus Xenomorphs. It's kind of cool. But that's more. They have a direction, but they're a server with a lot more focus. They have one thing that they do: Marines versus Xenomorphs. Whereas
And they're
the
trying
more,
to make it the best Marines versus Xenomorphs things you can possibly be. But with this, you're trying to constantly move outwards and outwards to add more.
which is I mean both upstream and Delta are, I suppose, working on more things. I know someone on upstream is there's another hand. Yeah, okay, yeah. But real quick to move it along. Contributors work on what they want when they want. If it's little, if it's big, things get added when they're added, essentially.
Also, is there like something up with the fucking language that Wisden made, or is it just like, or are they just really slow?
In what sense?
Well, it's like I've been on I think a couple fucking indie dev teams for various things. Like, not to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty awesome, and but I've never done any actual coding. I don't know what it's like, but I've done some rudimentary C shit.
It's C# and YAML.
No, because there's the fucking funky language they created for their engine. Or am I thinking of something wrong? I might be making all of this, pulling it all out of my ass.
It's all in C#
Oh,
and
C
YAML.
sharp?
Yeah.
Okay, then fucking work faster then, I guess. I don't know. What's wrong with them?
It's nobody's paid, and it's
Oh,
a
I didn't
volunteer,
know that. I didn't even think about that.
it's entirely unpaid, and
Well, I'm
it's
not talking about
entirely
y'all. I'm talking about Wisden.
It's same for them.
We're
They're working.
volunteers. How many of y'all have actually contributed anyway?
All right, that's enough of that, I believe. Just remember that nobody at Delta, and I'm 99% sure that nobody at Wisden is paid either, but we're all volunteers, and it's an open source game. We have Zwei again. Hello, Zwei.
Apologies, I have one more quick question to make sure I have this correctly. I had a sudden thought. Are we going to be doing anything with the Vox when they get here? Because I would like to see them added, but I also know that there are significant concerns with them being added, such as will we need to remap things based on giving the Voxes a place to stay, or are we giving them like a harder experience just for the fact that they have, say, an opt-in to do so?
I mean, yeah, like Lil said, there's a few commits, no comment right now. Possibly, is what we'll say. As for mapping, you can build a Voxbox in about if you have an RCD and basic Atmos knowledge, you can make a Voxbox in 10 minutes. And
You make it in like 3.
yeah, but yeah, Vox are a possibly in the future. That's it. It's not on me to like those. It's not on my choice. It's we haven't talked about it. Oh, you mean Danger?
Right.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Vox. Like I said, we're waiting until Vox have cooked a little more.
That's a fair take. I hope I get to see them, but I also understand if, say, they may not be great for this game fork that we have. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have Fox Stella again.
Hello. I have a
Hello.
silly question.
Shoot.
It was a few months ago. I was on stage. I asked about paramedics, and I think you guys came up with the idea of giving them jaws of life. I was wondering if there's any still thought going into that.
I suppose you could wait for epistemics to research advanced tools like they always seemingly do and ask them for a bet.
That works. I think it's probably not worth bringing it up. The conversation that happened back then, but it was about paramedics struggling to get into locations while Borgs were able to get into locations much easier, like the medical Borgs, able to do their jobs.
If you're a paramedic and you know someone is in a room dying and no one's letting you in, by all means, break in.
Right. Sorry. I'm sorry. I was just rehashing. I feel like rehashing this is a bit cringe, if you will, for me to do. But I believe um, the idea back then was giving them a base kit, Jaws of Life, which would allow them to break into locations. And I think it wasn't me who came up with this or who said this, but somebody else had said that it would be interesting to give them base kit Jaws of Life as a starter tool, because paramedics are, if having a paramedic use that, they're the most likely person to use it for good, and if they use it for bad, somebody can easily report them.
Yeah, I think right now the idea is if you want Jaws of Life as a paramedic, gotta wait for Epi to cook one, or you can walk up to the sea and ask them really nicely.
That would work. Thank you.
No problem. And with that, there appear to be no more hands. Final call, I suppose. If you have a quick question, because we've been here an hour and 15, and I'll be frank, my voice is starting to go a little bit. Do we have any teasers? Do we have any teasers on upcoming content? You can look at the open PRs on the GitHub and see what there is. That's usually a good teaser. But anyway, other than that, I think we're all done here. I'm gonna turn off hands now. Nobody came forward. It's 1:20, and my roommate sent me a text telling me to shut up. So, good night, everyone. I suppose. Have fun. Well, Vexy, promoting you to admin when? Applications are open. You can always write one. But yeah. Good night, everyone, I suppose. I believe we are complete.